The first coach joining us this morning is Minnesota head coach Tubby Smith. Smith is entering his 5th season with the Gophers and returns 3 starters and 7 letter winners from last year's team. Coach, if you'd like to start with an opening statement, then we'll open up the floor for questions.
Well, good morning. First, just want to welcome everybody here. Also, it's good to be back here at Media Day. It's always an important time of the year to share with our fans and with everyone around the country what our team looks like and what the Big Ten looks like for the upcoming season. So with that, we're excited about the upcoming year and look forward to another very competitive Big Ten conference.
Thank you, Coach. At this time, we'll open up the floor for questions. On the right-hand side.
Tubby, can you talk about Trevor's experience overseas in the offseason and what he gained from that?
Well, he played for Matt Painter, and I think he did a fantastic job. He was a leading rebounder on that World University team. So I think he came back, and we talked about his consistency and trying to be a more complete player, the things he needs to work on, especially his free throw shooting. I think that's something that I think he's still improving on, and trying to. I just know it's a good experience for him being out there, being around someone like Matt, Coach Painter, who understands and could share things that, in a perspective that, sometimes hearing it from someone else helps. But yeah, he gained a valuable, and he certainly has shown it in practice so far. He's really been trying to be more consistent in his effort, playing both ends of the court. One of the things that I think we had concerns about was just his, staying out of foul trouble, making sure he's playing defense before his man gets the basketball, things like that are going to make him a more complete player. So he's given that effort. And now that he has everything behind him, I think he's very focused on having a good year.
In the middle.
Coach, you alluded to the idea of how competitive things might be this year. What's your overall viewpoint on how strong the league is going to be, top to bottom?
Well, you can just look at the number of players that are being nominated for Wooden Awards, All-Americans that are returning. We have 2 of those, 2 All-Americans returning. I think we have and we didn't lose a lot of veteran players. We have a lot of first, second, third team returning players from the Big Ten. Jared Sullinger, top player in the nation, probably is back. So we've, again, and there's that. I think we have, the lack of changes. The addition of Nebraska, and then there hasn't been much turnover from the coaching standpoint as well. I think you'll see a lot more consistency and a lot more continuity to teams, and that usually breeds better play and more consistent play. So I think staffs staying together at programs makes a lot of difference, not to mention the outstanding coaching and the talented players that we have in the league year in and year out, whether they're returning players and freshmen or newcomers. There are a lot of freshmen and newcomers that I think will make a major impact in the league as well.
Back along the center aisle.
Coach, you seem to have some instability with your guards toward the end of last season. What's the outlook so far from the backcourt standpoint?
Well, we did. We lost 2 of our best players. One left the team, and DeVoe Joseph, and then Al Nolan, who was having a fantastic season, his best season ever, and both of those guys were probably our 2 most aggressive players. So we had 3 freshmen that played a lot: Austin Hollins, Chip Armlin, and Maverick Armisi. It was just tough for them to carry. And then, Blake Hoffarber had to carry a much bigger load because we didn't have that depth in the backcourt. But now we've got, those kids, they were freshmen last year. Now they're sophomores, and so they've learned a lot about Big Ten play. And we kind of threw them in the fire during Big Ten play, and they just didn't handle it very well. We probably put them in some situations where they weren't ready for. So we went out and recruited some players I think will help us in Andre Hollins, who's a freshman, was high school player of the year in the state of Tennessee. So he's a kid that I think could play a lot at the point, as well as Julian Welch, who's a junior college transfer that I think could give us a lot of depth in the backcourt, along with Rodney Williams. Rodney had to make the adjustment from, he's had the biggest adjustment of any player we've recruited over the last few years because he went from being a center and forward to being a guard and a wing player, so he's still making that adjustment. So we've added a lot of depth. And then a kid like Otto Osniak, was a redshirt last year, 6'7", 6'8", is a perimeter player as well that will give us some outside and some perimeter scoring, something that we really lacked last year.
Front along the center aisle.
Pretty simple question, Coach. What are your personal expectations for your team this year?
My personal expectations?
Yeah.
Well, we think we have a chance to be a much improved team after going losing 10 of our last 11 games last year. We're really, we lost them in many different ways. So I think my expectations are us to just be be much more competitive in the Big Ten. And that's something we've struggled with since we've been there. We just haven't kept that momentum from our non-league play or early season into conference play. So we've got to figure out a way to be more consistent. So my personal goal is just to get guys to be more consistent. And we expect to be in postseason play this year. It's something we didn't make the postseason play last year.
Time for one last question. All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.